Welcome back everyone to the Blender Creator course, Stylized 3D Models, and this is where we left it off. Well, we didn't leave it off quite, but we left it off with all of our models and geometry nodes and things like that in the Asset Manager. And now we're moving back over to our Blender 4 file, or the file that you've picked with this setup in there. Now what we first of all want to do is we want to come in, click the little plus button, and we want to make a Asset Manager. So again, I'm just going to click on Animation and doing a double click it. I'm going to put in Asset Manager like so, and then I'm going to drag across again like we did before. So drag this across, and then what I'm going to do is come down to this and put it onto Asset Browser, and this is what we've got so far, exactly the same setup as what we had. Now what we can do is we can actually click on User Library, and we won't actually get anything in there because we need to change it in the actual preferences. So if we go to Edit now, come down to Preferences, and what we're going to do is we're going to come down to where it says File Paths. I think it's File Paths. Yes, there it is. Asset Library. Let's click on plus now. And then what we're going to do is we're going to find that file where that blender is. So if we look at texture maps, it's not in there. If we go to setups, it should be this one in here. So basically what you want to do is you want to look at the file that you've got this in. So you can see Blender Users, Desktop 3D. We can see this is the file. Let's click Add Asset Library, like so, and let's close that down. Now what we can do is we can come and go to Setup, and there we are. All of our actual items are in the Asset Browser for us, ready to use. And the thing is about this, as I said, if you put this onto shader material, and then we drop on, let's say, glass onto here, when it loads up, now you'll see that we've actually got our glass on there, or we can put our floor on there. Let it load up. It's compiling samples at the moment, and there you go. You can see how easy it is. You can also then bring out your chain, and what I can also do then is I can actually use this to actually create more chain because this is a geometry node. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to delete that off of there. I'm also going to come in and just take off the shader at the moment because I don't want my cube having that shader on. So I'm just going to click the little minus button here. And here we are then. This is how we will start it. We'll also see that we've got foliage, we've got geometry nodes, we've got the materials that we put in, plant geometry nodes, and of course we've got our reference as well to build our gray box. Now, the thing is, again, if you want to change something, so let's just open up the other one, which is this one here. If we want to change something, so in other words, if we want to change what one of these plants look like, we need to actually change it. So let's just come in, and I'll just show you quickly. If I go to shading on this this rock here, or this brick, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to come in, and I'm just going to make these bricks a little bit larger. So I'm going to put 1.5, 1.5, 1.5, like so. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to show you what it's actually going to look like. So I'm going to just save this out. So I'm going to click File, Save As. Let it save out. That should then have saved out all of everything. I'm going to put this then down. I'm going to come back. I'm going to come back to my Asset Manager here. I'm going to click File and Save, like so. Now let's go to our materials and let's see what the material looks like. Let's drop that on there. Let it compile shaders. And let's see now if we go to Shader Panel, if this is 1.5. And you can see now it's been all upscaled to 1.5 from 1. So you can see it's actually updated. That is exactly what we want. Now let's click on modeling. Let's go to our cube. Let's actually take off that shader once more. And then what I recommend doing now is, first of all, deleting your camera, deleting your pin light. So you've just got a cube in there, maybe. And then what I would also say do, I wouldn't actually keep your cube in there for this. I would actually come in, delete the cube out, and then I would go back to Asset Manager and bring out your reference. So bring out your reference and put him in there. So like so. And you can see that if I press 1 now on the number pad, there is our actual guy. And he's actually stood on the actual ground plane, which is this little line going this way. So you can see he stood perfectly in line. Now from this, I go back to modeling then. And I know this seems a lot of messing around. I'm going to double tap the A just to unhighlight him. And then you should end up with something like this. And from there, I'm going to go to File. I'm going to go to Defaults. And I'm going to say Save Startup File. And the reason I'm going to do this then is because Now, whenever I open Blender, I'm going to end up with it opening with my reference inside, with the asset manager already set up, and everything is ready to use, to create models basically. So let's go to File. We're going to go to Save, Startup File, click OK, like so. And now whenever you open up your new blend file, it's going to have exactly this, what we've got in here. So let's click File, and let's just save this out. All right then, so from here now, what we want to do is we want to actually start creating a gray box. We don't actually want to worry about the asset manager or shading or anything like that right now. What we want to do is create our gray box ready to create our building. So it's the first thing you should always do, because it's going to give you a really, really good idea of how things are actually going to look. So first of all, what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually move my man over to the left hand side. So I'm going to press Shift and Spacebar to bring in my move tool. So bring in my move tool like so, and then drop him over there. Next of all, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in a cube. So with my cursor in the center, if your cursor's not in the center, press Shift S, cursor to world origin. That then is going to put it right in the center. If you want to move your cursor anywhere else, it's going to be Shift right click like so, and then Shift S, cursor to world origin. Now let's bring in a cube. So Shift A, let's come in. We're going to bring in mesh, cube, like so. Now what I want to do first of all is I want to press 1 on the number pad, and I want to bring this cube up a little bit. Now we can see at the moment, this is how high the cube is. Now at the moment, this cube is going to be 2 meters by 2 meters, because it's a cube obviously. But the thing is, we don't want it to be 2 meters. We want it to be a little bit higher than that. And the reason is, whenever you're starting a building, you have to take into account that we actually have a door on here. If I press 1, you can see, if I grab my guy and put him in front, the door will come up to here, and the arch over the door would actually have to be over here. So in other words, this height of this first cube is going to have to be a little bit higher. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in, I'm going to grab this in face select. So we have face select, which is over here. We also have edge select, so we can grab edges like so. And if you hover over here, you can always also see vertex select, which means you can grab each one of these as well. So let's come in first of all and grab face select. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to come to my cube. I'm going to press the tab button to go into edit mode. So we have object mode, which is this one, edit mode, which is this one. And I'm going to go into edit mode, grab this, press 1. And what I always need to do when I first start editing, whenever you're in each one of these tabs, is press shift space bar to bring in the move tool. You'll have to do that in object mode and edit mode, and then you'll have to do it if you go, let's say, to layout. You can see now from layout, I've got no move tool. If I grab this face, I've got no move tool. So you'll have to do it on each tab that you come into. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this up very slightly, like so, to something like that, which means now I can actually put a door in where the guy's going to be able to walk through, and I'm also going to be able to put another another piece of wood on here as well, and then I can actually start my building. So from there now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use these cubes to basically build out the bottom part of my model. Now I've got the right height. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this, click on the cube. I'm then going to press Shift D. So if I click on it, Shift D, enter, so that I've not moved it anywhere. And now you'll see I can move this across and then put it into place of where I actually want the next part to be. So I'm thinking that if the door is going to be around here, let's move it out a little bit so we have plenty of room for the actual door. Now let's come around to the back. So I'd say the back or the front of this, how wide should it be? So on my build, I think this should be a little bit wider. So what I'm going to do with this cube is I'm going to press tab, I'm going to grab this face, I'm going to press 1, and then I'm going to pull this out a little bit like so. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to think, how long do I actually want the side of the building to be? So I'm going to come in, grab my guy, bring him over here, and I'm thinking that I want it probably to be at least 3 of these. So if I grab this, I'm going to press Shift D, bring it out, and then I'm going to press Shift D again, bring it out like so. And I'm thinking, is that a little bit too short? Maybe I want it a little bit bigger. Now it's important that when we're doing this, we're not thinking like in terms of, right, this is how it's going to be and that's it, final. No, we're going to actually be working around this to pull these out and things like that. What we want to do is just get a base in here. So I'm probably going to bring out another one and put it around there, something like that. And I think that is a good size for a size of a building. So let's now go around the back. Now with the back, I want to actually bring this in a little bit. So we can see at the moment, this is the width of the building. I'm thinking that probably around the back will be this wide. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pull this out. So I'm going to press Shift D. I'm going to pull this out a little bit, like so. And then what I'm going to do is I want it to level with this part here. So I'm going to pull this up like so. And then I'm going to bring it out to wherever I want it. So I'm thinking like this. As you see on the image of our actual building that we built, what we're looking for here is to get lots and lots of variation within our building. We don't want it just a straight up building or anything like that, which is a little bit boring. All right, so the next thing then I obviously want to do is I want to bring another cube in. So Shift D, let's bring it in, drop it in here, double tap the A, and there is the first part of our building. Now, is that going to look good? We don't know yet until we start building the other parts up. All right, everyone, so I hope you enjoyed that. This is the first part then of getting the grey box together. You should do this every single time you're creating a model. Make it as simple and easy as possible. You don't want anything complex. You don't want to think about even doors or windows, anything at all yet. All you want is a basic model. The one thing that I would say is you want to think about walls, and you want to think about the overall complexity of the building, and then you want to think about roofs. And once you've got those nailed down, pretty much everything from there will fall into place. All right, everyone, so I hope you enjoyed that, and I'll see you on the next one. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.